Could we really be seeing big-time snow heading into the weekend? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of you on the internet have been seeing computer models like this one being posted. Look at that potential heavy snow across the eastern third of the country. But how about this model? Literally the same European model, but just a different output instead of the AI model. This is the main European model. Look at this big difference. We're talking about the weekend. Now it's early in the week. We got plenty of time to go. So here's what you need to know. This is what to expect over the next week or so. I'm Para 5 meteorologist Alan Osif here in Cleveland. Wanted to dissect the situation, let you in on some of the science, what we're seeing here in our digital weather center heading into the end of the week and this weekend, because everything from cold to snow is top of mind here across northern Ohio and across much of the country, in fact, because the piece of a polar vortex is making its way down multiple times this week. So we got to start real quick with the cold weather advisory, because wind chills could be between 15 and 20 below zero Monday night and Tuesday morning. That's why the cold weather advisory goes all the way through noon tomorrow. We do warm up slightly, but with warm-ups this time of year, usually that means there's moisture coming from the south. I'll explain a little bit more about that later, but what does that mean? We're going to see more clippers, more light snow, an inch or two here, an inch or two there, including, of course, our Monday system, our Wednesday clipper, potentially Thursday, and then all eyes on the potential big fish. That's for this upcoming weekend. Now, here's the thing. We're going to potentially get another piece of the polar vortex to spin on in. I'll show you that in a moment, but when you have Arctic cold, that much cold has a lot of weight, has a lot of pull in the atmosphere. So there's a saying that I like to say. Could it be too cold to snow in our neck of the woods? The answer could certainly be yes. But at the same time, if the cold just retreats a little bit, we could be in the game for a foot, 2 feet of snow. Here's the deal. Let's look at this map right here. This is known as absolute vorticity. Basically, storm energy up in the upper levels of our atmosphere, what drives storms, and what also helps drive the polar vortex, the tropospheric polar vortex, or TPV for short. This big L I drew on top of the map to help really paint a better picture of where that polar vortex is at around Thursday. This is Thursday at 7 a.m., about 12 in the morning. Watch this. Watch what happens. That polar vortex grows and that energy dives south. So by Friday morning, we're right on the doorstep of that true Arctic cold. This is Friday morning, and you can see I drew this blue color on top to kind of denote where that polar vortex impact is likely to be by Friday. Now, this storm energy is also helpful in identifying storms in 2 of our jet streams, because we actually have 2 jet streams, the northern jet stream and the southern jet stream. So by Friday night, what we're going to be watching out for is out to the west. Our northern jet stream is what provides the cold. Our southern jet stream is what provides the moisture. Sometimes the two can combine together, 2 pieces of energy combine into one big storm, and that's potentially on the table this weekend. Again, we're talking early in the week right now, and we're talking about something all the way out next weekend. But I want you to see this, because all of our computer models have been showing the same thing. 2 pieces of energy coming down and potentially coming together around next weekend. There are the 2 pieces, number 1 and number 2. These 2 pieces are very important. Like I mentioned, the piece number 1 brings the cold, piece number 2 brings the moisture. Now, the position, the timing, it's like a chess match. If you move one chess piece a little bit over, that changes the complexion of the entire game. This is for Saturday. We got plenty of time to see how this chessboard evolves. But a couple of things that are interesting. What we know so far is that whenever you have Arctic cold and you have a little bit of moisture, whenever a piece of energy tries to go into that Arctic cold, it is going to produce precipitation in 99% of cases. So it's actually pretty remarkable that early in the week, this is being recorded on Monday, that all the way for next weekend, we already have a very good handle on, yes, there will be a wide swath of precipitation. Where, though? That's still up in the air. One potential scenario, and this involves, of course, our Arctic high pressure bringing down that polar cold air. You see these arrows? This is literally the cold air pushing our storm to the south. So the heavy snow could be all the way down in areas like Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, there's a chance if this high is even stronger that it could be even farther to the south, putting that heavy snow all the way down to areas like New Orleans and Houston. That's on the table, but it's really a matter of how strong that cold air is, because if that Arctic cold is super strong, that storm is forced south, and all of this precipitation shield would slide south. On the other hand, if our polar vortex is shifted just a little bit, and maybe it's not as strong, what we could end up happening is the storm track is a little bit farther to the north. It moves a little bit closer to that Arctic cold. And then we'd be in the game here in northern Ohio to see heavy snow. Is that a guarantee? No. We don't know which scenario is more likely yet. In fact, we don't exactly know which are the exact scenarios, which two are the most likely scenarios at this point. We got plenty of time to track it. Just know that the significance of this Arctic cold and the amount of moisture, that storm energy I just showed you, how much of that is available, those are two of the keys that we're still trying to figure out. And keep in mind, today's Monday, we're talking about Saturday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 days. So we're now ending this trend phase and heading into that scenarios phase, which is why I showed you two potential scenarios of multiple scenarios of how strong that cold air is and where does that moisture, where does that boundary for that wide swath of precipitation set up. So we know it's a cold signal. We've actually seen it already almost 2 weeks out. So we know it's going to be very cold. In fact, we could actually see temperatures below zero even for daytime highs not too far away from northern Ohio, parts of Michigan and Wisconsin could be seeing that heading into this weekend. Does it reach here in Ohio? And if it does, well, we're not going to get that storm. It's just going to be too cold to snow. Now, we are going to likely see a storm. We can get that part. We're now entering that scenarios phase, and we're going to be updating this forecast over the next couple of days. So it's important that you stay tuned. I'm going to have updates on my social media. So if you haven't followed yet, here we go. Facebook at Allen Weather TV. That's my #1 point for making those posts, making a little bit more in-depth explanations like what I'm doing right now as well. Instagram and X, there you go as well, at Allen Weather. I'm going to be updating that over the next several days. Now, what are the next steps? And I kind of already alluded to it when it comes to our storm. We need to find out how strong our cold air is going to be, because that's going to help determine the storm track. If there's a lot of cold air, it holds a lot of weight. So a lot of cold air is literally going to stomp our storm south and keep it across the Carolinas, keep it maybe even down toward the panhandle of Florida. Remember last winter, it was so cold right around this time of year that we got that big snowstorm where New Orleans got 8 inches of snow. Pensacola area had nearly double-digit snowfall, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Could that happen again? Yes, it can happen if there's enough cold air and enough of that weight pressing the storm down. But at the same time, if that Arctic cold isn't as strong, well, that opens the door. There's not as much weight. That allows that storm to lift north and bring us significant snow. It's way too soon to know that part. And also, the strength of the storm, we don't know yet. We know there's a storm coming. How strong is that energy? That red that I showed you in that storm energy, if it's strung out, it's not going to be as strong. It's going to be more like 3 to 6, 4 to 8. But if that becomes one big bowling ball, that red kind of flame right centered together, that could mean 1 to 2 feet. More than 2 feet of snow. So we don't know that part yet, because that will help determine the ceiling of the storm. Is the ceiling 6 inches of snow or 2 feet of snow? We'll figure that out, including the timing, the track, and the totals. So around Thursday, we're going to get a much better idea at our weekend storm. So it's important that you check back, follow us along, make sure you click that subscribe, that follow button. We'll keep you posted throughout the rest of the week. I'm Power 5 meteorologist Alan Nosef.